What's up YouTube? This is Takematsu Ichimura. Welcome to Kabuki ma Shou. This channel is officially run by Japan Actors Association and the Traditional Kabuki Preservation Society. Today, I would like to show you something different, which is what we do before we go up on stage. On January 2021, I managed to film some of my routines before going on the stage. The steps are putting on the makeup, wearing a costume, putting the wig, and grabbing the stage properties if needed. I would like to introduce those using my case as an example. But since we already have videos explaining about kabuki makeups and we already have tutorials regarding the kabuki makeups, I would skip that part, and what I would like to introduce is the steps after putting on the makeups, like starting with the costumes and putting on the wigs and such. But please just note that this is just an example of my case. The basic steps are the same, but it doesn't mean that every actor is doing the exact same thing, so just think of it as an example. And before we moving on, I would like to briefly explain about how we manage COVID-19 since we're not able to wear masks after we put our makeups on, and especially with wigs. But all the actors, staffs, stage crews, and theater crews, they already have been taking the PCR test, and we all know that we're all negative. And we're all been checking our body temperature and health conditions every day. And we were also supplied with hand sanitizers, and we've been always wearing masks, only except for situation where we're not able to, like going on the stage or after we put our makeup and stuff. So please do not worry if even if I'm not wearing a mask in the video you're about to see. Okay? Alright, then let's move on to today's Kabuki ma Shou. Before moving on to the explanation, let me note that in order to reduce the risk of infection, I will not be explaining directly when people are around me, since I was not able to wear my mask once I finished my makeup. So please be sure of that. After finishing the makeup and wearing the basic outfits, it's time for the costumes. My role this time is a young samurai. This costume is pretty thick and has bright colors, but this is because it's a stage costume. These fancy costumes are used in classic style stages, but the costumes will be different if the approach is more realistic. The one I'm wearing right now, the one with the kanji, is called kataginu, meaning shoulder clothing, and it's part of kamishimo. Kamishimo is a type of kimono worn during the formal scenes by the samurai class. Kamishimo literally means top and bottom, where the top refer to kataginu and the bottom part will be hakama. This entire set is known as kamishimo. Kataginu is never used alone and is always worn with the hakama. You will see hakama later on. This wide long strip is called obi. It functions as a belt that holds the entire kimono. The wooden plate you just saw is the supporting equipment called hakama ita or hakama plate. This plate will stabilize the hakama and it will fit more to the body, the hakama will. Hakama can be worn without it, but that will increase the risk of losing its shape, so it's better if you have it. After obi is wrapped, the last thing I put on is the hakama, as I just mentioned earlier. Here I'm wearing it from my right leg, but actually it's incorrect. Hakama is usually worn from the left leg. Not only hakama, but many actions in Japanese manner is taken from the left. But please note that there are many exceptions too. Hakama may appear to look like a skirt, but actually it's more of like culottes, where it's split in two. There are also some exceptions in this one as well though. So yeah, please watch how hakama is tied. This kamishimo hakama style is similar to that of business suits worn by businessmen, since they're outfits doing their work. The kanji written on this kataginu is my role's name, Kare. Kare is actually, it's a flounder, but in this case, it's actually my role's family name. Usually, what will be there is the family crest. However, in some of the classic style stages, characters' family name may go on to their katagini like this. For most of the times, costumes are dressed by the costume artist, and actors shouldn't be moving so much, so it'll be easier for the costume artist to work. However, actors may also do some of the work if needed. If there are other people who are available, they may also support as well. They're usually the apprentice actors. If the costumes are simple or can be worn individually, actors may dress themselves. However, in most cases, costumes are dressed by costume artists, since the costumes are very complicated and are hard to be worn on their own. Some costumes are actually designed to be dressed by others from the first place. Furthermore, since the actor himself is not moving while being dressed, the costumes can be dressed more nicely and in a more balanced style. Once I get my costume ready, I will then put my wig on. The wig is placed by the Tokoyama artist, but the actor also has to guide the wig onto his head. The actor must not touch the hair since they are very delicate, and touching may cause the wig to be ruined. Once the wig is set, the Tokoyama artist and the actor himself will adjust to make sure it is positioned correctly. As you may see, the wig has hair on the front part. This means that the character is not an adult or below the age of 15, since all adult men have to shave their hair from front to top. There are many exceptions though, but usually a male character with unshaved front hair is a boy. After putting on the wigs and the costume, the last thing we do is painting our hands. The reason why we paint our hands afterwards is because if we paint first, there will be a risk of turning our costumes and wigs white. And we don't want to do that because it may ruin the fabric or the hair and such. So we do it afterwards. But sometimes, when we wear costumes such as like full armor and like gauntlets and such, in those cases, since we won't be able to color it after we put our costumes on, we do it beforehand. But those are like some exceptions. So usually we paint them afterwards, and the area we paint is usually from the tip of the hand to our elbow. But depending on the costumes, we don't necessarily have to paint everything. Like in my case for this role, since I have this that will cover my entire arm, I won't have to paint up to my elbow. Also, if I do that, I may ruin the costume, so I shouldn't be doing that. And also, when we paint our hand, we leave our palms clean. This is because we won't be able to grab anything if we paint entirely. It's gonna turn like the stage properties and everything white, and we don't want that to happen. So we leave our palms clean. And when we paint our hands, most people actually paint it entirely and wipe off their palms later. Like they paint as if they are applying hand creams onto the hand. That's how they do it. Like they cover it entirely, but I don't really like doing that, so I'm only painting the top part of my hand. Sorry. And when I do that, I have to make sure that my entire fingers are covered carefully. It's much more easier if we just like cover our entire hands and clean up the palms afterwards, but I don't really like doing that, so I need to be extra careful about that, like these between our fingers and such. Yeah, and after we paint it, then we're ready to go. After I get my costumes and wigs and everything else ready, the last thing we take care of is the stage properties. In my case, I have my fan and my kaeshi and my swords that I'm gonna pick it up after this. Kaeshi is actually fan is actually just a regular fan that maybe some of you may have it as a souvenir. This one is a kaeshi, or it's also referred as futokorogami or mochigami. And this is basically a disposable, multi-purpose handy paper where you can use it for many different kinds of things. Like sometimes in kabuki, people
is testing his voice. Anyway, samurai might be using this to wipe off the blood that gets on their sword or blade and such. They can use it to wipe, or it can be used to make on different kind of purposes. And the point of holding this is since in old days papers were very scarce and very expensive. So whenever a character possesses physical origami, it means that that character has a high social status, or they're pretty rich. And usually they're held by like samurais or people who serve in noble houses and such. And it's pretty thick, but usually in real life it's much more thinner. The reason why we use a bunch of them is because it will be easier to see it from the audience's seat. And this goes here. This is the reason why it may also be referred as futokoro origami, is because it goes here. This part is called futokoro, and it's one of the pockets, pocket-like place can be used in kimono. In kimono, there are 3 pockets actually. One is futokoro, another one is the sleeves, the sode. They can put it in here. You don't put fans here, but this is where you can put stuff in. But basically, futokoro is actually the place where you put important things such as purse and like all these kind of things. And the fan goes here. Yeah. You don't really use these on stage so much. Yeah. We put it pretty deep because we're gonna put swords after this. The last thing we wear is swords. This is like the sign of samurais. These are usually called daisho and kabuki, literally meaning large and small, because we got a longer and larger katana and the shorter one. We wear from the shorter one. This is because you wear from the one that is more closer to your body. When you put cho, you put it in between the first layer and the second layer of your obi. First layer, as in the layer that is closest to you. So it goes here, it's more closer to your body. And you also have to hook it to your hakama right there. There's a string right there. You need to hook it there so it's more stable. That's how it works for the short one. You wear the large one. This one goes between the second and the third layer of your obi. However, this approach is different from the original. In the original approach, the sho sword, or the shorter katana, will be placed between the second and the third layer, and the dai, or the longer katana, will be placed between the first and the second layer. The reason is because the longer katana is heavier than that of the shorter one, so that it will be more stable if the longer katana is closer to your body. Then, why are we doing this? You will see why in a moment. Obi. And when I wear this, I need to make sure that I'm grabbing this part because since these katanas are actually made of bamboos, the blade is. If I grab here, the handle, tendency is that the likelihood is that it's gonna break apart if I put too much force. So whenever I wear it, we have to grab this part. You need to make sure that both of your katana, dai and sho, is in this angle. It's because if they're too close like this, then what happens is that it's gonna hit each other and it's gonna damage your katana, and at the same time it's gonna make a clanging sound, which is not that great to hear. So in order to prevent that, you have to put it in this angle. And by putting in different layers of your obi, you can also position them in a way you like. If you put it in the same layer, what happens is that they're gonna stick like this. It's really close. That's why you want to put them in different layers, so all of them will be independently positioned. So that's what you want. This angle is the reason of the approach of placing the shorter katana closer to the body. By doing that, it will be easier for the actor to form this angle. In addition, the position and the vertical angle of the longer sword can be shifted more easily. This style of wearing daisho is actually an approach which has been developed in kabuki.
a style that is based on its appearance rather than realism. Since it will be easier to maintain this angle, we are wearing katanas differently from the original style. This style is mainly used in a hakama style.
Actually, it looks pretty realistic, but these are actually bamboo, and it's covered with silver coloring, so it looks pretty realistic in a distance. And there's one special thing about this katana, because it's black. The reason why it's black is because in real life, the blade actually looks more blackish in a distance. So in order to suggest that this blade is colored black, but in more realistic kind of stages, most of them are actually like this. It's colored in silver. But in some of the classic ones, it's actually they do color it like this. And one thing you want to watch out when you use when you handle is that when you pull out your blade, katana, you need to make sure that you pull the side to the rear, or else you won't be able to take out your blade. When you don't do that, when you just try to pull the katana straight, then the blade will get stuck. And if you apply too much pressure, then what happens is that you're gonna break the blade. So what you want to do is pull, and you're going to add a circular motion when you take out your katana, and it goes like that. But aside from that, it should be fun.
Thank you for watching. I'm sorry that the explanations are pretty limited, such as in terms of costumes and wigs and stage properties, but don't worry, I'll be explaining those in my future videos, so we'll get to that again later on. I choose to introduce this now because I thought it would be better if I show you the image first and do the explanations in my future videos. So I think you should have an image of what it is actually like beforehand. So this is why I choose to introduce this beforehand. And I may try out something like this in the future if I have a chance or if there are demands. So just let me know in the comment down below. If you have enjoyed or are interested in our channel, please don't forget to hit the thumbs up and be sure to subscribe our channel. Please also check out other videos in our channel. They're all in Japanese, but we got subtitles, and that can be translated into any other languages that YouTube is capable of. So please check them out as well. Also, please feel free to leave the comments down below. If you have any questions or if you have any topics that want to be introduced in future videos, please feel free to leave them down below. But please also note that since this is not my personal channel, I won't be able to reply them directly. But what I'll be doing is that I'll be looking at them and I will make my future videos based on those comments. So please feel free to write anything down. Thank you very much, and I shall see you again.